Clay S. Williams, and for today's show, I have with me Leora Edut. She's the author of Goddess on the Go. But before we get into some of those particulars and get to understand who she is, Leora, you are from Detroit.
I am.
I also was born and raised in Detroit. Yeah, from the D.
I love it, from the D.
Yeah. So when did you matriculate to New York City?
I moved out here 17 years ago.
Okay.
Okay. I got accepted to FIT, and that was kind of like I guess I'm actually leaving Detroit.
Wow.
Moment. Yeah, because I didn't think I was going to ever leave. It was a thought, but it wasn't like an actual plan of action.
Okay. And so what was the sort of the impetus for starting to write this incredible book?
So when I started my live event, Goddess on the Go, I thought it was going to be like a side hustle, but it grew really fast. And we were in New York and Detroit and LA, and people kept seeing it. You know, people kind of watch you on social media, and they're like, they look like they're having a good time. They look like there's some like sisterhood and healing going on. And so people kept asking, you know, bring it here, bring it to Texas, bring it to Florida, bring it to Atlanta.
Okay.
And being that there's one of me and a small staff, it just felt very overwhelming.
Right.
And so I was like, what could I give to these women who can't get to a live Goddess on the Go? And so I was like, wow, a book full of, you know, some of the women that come and speak at Goddess on the Go, some of the rituals and tools that I feel like have made a really big difference to me. And so that's where the inspiration behind it came. So that a woman who lived in Buttawoohoo, Iowa could be like, oh my God, I have rituals and tools. I have kind of like, I have a guide of how to like create my own sisterhood.
Create my own sisterhood.
Yeah.
And in sort of prepping for this book, I could imagine it was an emotional wealth of labor-intensive.
Yeah, to say the least.
Yeah. What was that process like for you?
Well, I'll tell you the backstory, because people always love the backstory. So originally I had a book agent I was working with this 5 years ago, and I wrote the proposal. It took 6 months to write the proposal, and we were all excited about the book. And so she shopped it around, and I was like, I know I'm going to hear from her right away.
Right away.
A month later, she's like, listen, I'm really sorry, but nobody was ready for a collaborative book. And I was like, you know, heart dropped, feeling that moment of kind of like failure, feeling that not good enough, all those things, feeling like, oh my God, I just spent 6 months of my life to do something that I thought was gonna, you know, come to life, along with everybody who had contributed, you know, a little bit of their description of their ritual. So it wasn't just me, it was all the people who contributed rituals. So I also felt like, you know, dog with tail between legs, like a little bit of shame. And so I shelved it. I was like, you know what? I got so many other things going on in my life. I was doing Goddess on the Go, LA, New York, and Detroit. And so I ended up getting pregnant a year later.
Oh, wow.
Yes, I have an Aries daughter, and she already started bossing me around in the belly. So after I was done with morning sickness, like she just gave me this really clear message, and she said, Mama, you have to finish this book, even if you self-publish it. I was like, holy shit, she's bossing me around already, and she's not even fully developed. And so I started writing the book, and I finished it right before 2017 began. December 30th, 2016, I finished the book. It was like, I am getting this book done before we step into the new year. And mind you, I was writing this book while I had a brand new baby. Like literally whenever I could write it, I'd write it late at night. I was speaking at an event with Marianne Williams, so it was kind of like the push to finish the book. It was like, oh, I'm gonna launch it with my event with Marianne Williams. That,
Yeah.
of course, didn't happen because when I found my editor and I sent it to her, she's like, listen. She gave me like a coming to Jesus talk about like, you know, I don't think you want to put this out here like this. You really want to like go through the book. And so I think I ripped apart the book about 10 more times before I was like, do not send it back to me. I'm done. There's no more edits. It's the Libra perfectionist in me. And so it finished like about exactly a year ago. I finished editing it.
Wow.
Then I had to go through the process of firing a book cover designer.
Oh, wow.
First time ever firing somebody. So that was also like emotional too as well, you know, and I ended up finding an amazing book cover designer just by chance, like literally like within the 24-hour span period of firing the person. I found the new person who also happens to be an Aries. Her name is Leanna Weller, and my editor was Lisa Sundry, so we were triple L.
All kind of synchronicity.
We just worked so well together. It really felt like sisterhood. Like I was like, wow, they have made the end process. Like it was almost like they were like pushing, like the baby was like a 9-month, like pushing it out into the world. They really nurtured me and the book, and like we just made sure that it felt good for all of us before we put it out here into the world. And so it went out like August something, like I don't even remember the date, but it was something like August 28th or something. It went out, we hit send. And then within 24 hours, Barnes & Noble ended up picking it up.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, 5 years, you know.
Right. And then
it kind of was meant to happen in this way. And I always tell people 5 years ago, if I would have put that book out, it would have been like, Lord, do not read that, don't read it. Because it's like I went through so many, I feel like, lessons in my relationship that were really painful, lessons with becoming a mother, and you know, relationships friendships, business relationships that dissolve, which I feel like sometimes when you go through a lot of pain and rupture, it creates a depth, and you kind of alchemize that into your writing.
Yeah, yeah. And speaking of that, especially in the first chapter, you open up and you talk about all the raw experiences that led you to that moment.
Yeah.
Just share with the audience what that experience was like.
Yeah, absolutely. We're going there today. We said we were going to go there, so we're going to go there. So